and a magnitude 6 quake that struck the country at around midnight local time. You can see here some of the initial recovery efforts. It's thought at least, that 622 people have been killed, 1,300 to 1,500 people have been injured in that quake. It follows pretty torrential weather as well in the region, incredibly mountainous, incredibly difficult to access. 3 villages at least reported to have been completely razed as a result of this natural disaster. We'll follow these developments closely, as too will politicians here in the UK. Well, we're joined by Chris Philp, the Shadow Home Secretary, who's with us here on Breakfast on Sky News. Your initial thoughts to the situation in Afghanistan. The UK will be keen to support civilians, but it's hard considering who's in charge.
I mean, first of all, my thoughts go out to the families affected, the men, women and children who have lost their homes and lost their lives as well. They've got to be at the front of our minds. And yes, you're right, we should do everything we can to help. Obviously difficult with the Taliban in charge, but within that constraint, and obviously making sure we don't end up giving them any money inadvertently, we should be doing everything we can to just practically help on the ground, because when you get a humanitarian crisis like this, I think the whole world, including the UK, should definitely step up and help.
With that in mind, just thinking your comment about funding or funds entering the hands of the Taliban, would you prefer to see then efforts going into humanitarian organisations already operating there rather than the government entity of Afghanistan?
Yes, definitely. I mean, one of the ways you can try and make sure that aid money does not end up in the hands of bad organisations, whether it's the Taliban in Afghanistan or Hamas in Gaza, giving the money to aid organisations to give practical aid directly to civilians, definitely the best way of doing it.
End of recess. Back to work today. You ready? You looking forward to a pretty busy time in politics at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, raring to go. When my alarm went off at 5 o'clock this morning, a smile flooded across my face at the prospect of the new autumn term. But I have been busy over the summer as well. I've been out on the Channel looking at the Labour's migrant crisis. I went out to Calais and went round the migrant camp near Dunkirk, talking to the illegal immigrants directly. Somebody pulled a machete on us, and then we got pelted with bottles while we were there. So I've been out and about this summer finding out what's happening on the ground with this migrant crisis.
You describe it as Labour's migrant crisis. Is it not fair to say it's the country's migrant crisis? Because it's a challenge your party had as well during your time in office.
Yes, it is. The small boats did start 4 or 5 years ago. But I would say in the last full year the Conservatives were in government, 2023, the boat numbers came down by 30%. And there was a plan to stop it completely by sending people crossing the Channel to Rwanda. But Labour, very foolishly, cancelled that plan just days before it started with no replacement. And as a result, the numbers crossing the Channel now are the worst in history. It's gone up 40% compared to last year, and this year is the highest ever. And I do wonder, actually, when Keir Starmer's asleep at night, you know, in a cold sweat at 2 o'clock in the morning, I wonder if secretly he regrets cancelling that Rwanda plan with no replacement.
You say he foolishly cancelled the plan. He would say, I'm sure if he was here, that Rishi Sunak foolishly called a general election before the plan was even tested in the first place.
Well, I do agree that election should have been held later. I agree with that.
And he would also say, and he would point to the figures that Yvette Cooper, the Home Secretary, will cite today, that this has been the best August in recent years, and so that there has been some improvement in the situation.
That is desperate stuff. They're saying there have been fewer boats, but that's because the boats have more people. One of those boats that crossed in August had 107 people. Look, if you take the year to date, OK, rather than cherry-picking the number of boats in 1 month, year to date, 29,000 illegal immigrants. That is the worst in history. Their claim to have smashed the gangs is, frankly, laughable. Everyone knows it. The government are not treating this as a crisis, and that is why people are getting angry up and down the country. It's why we're seeing protests, because the government is not listening. You had government lawyers last week and the Education Secretary yesterday saying they thought the rights of illegal immigrants are more important than the rights of local people in places like Epping. I think that is disgraceful, and when our own government says that, you know what? No wonder people are getting angry.
Those interviews on Trevor Philp's show on Sky News yesterday, the Prime Minister, in his opinion article in the Mirror today, says reform and the Tories are talking down the country at every turn. We're doing the work to make people's lives better, and accuses the opposition, let's be honest, of scaremongering from the sidelines. He would say that everything you've just said there is scaremongering from the sidelines.
Well, nonsense. I mean, he refers to talking down the country. He is doing down the country with his actions. Keir Starmer is the man who has lost control of our borders. He's the one presiding over a migration crisis. He's the one saying he thinks the rights of illegal immigrants are more important than local people. He's the one that slapped on the biggest tax rise in a generation. He's the Prime Minister delivering unemployment that goes up every single month. He's the one who's presided over inflation doubling, and it's his Chancellor and Keir Starmer who are going to no doubt slap us all with more tax rises in the budget in a few months' time. So he's got a cheek. He is, frankly, destroying our country with his terrible economic policies, with his massive tax rises, and the fact he can't control our borders and doesn't even recognise that it's a crisis and doesn't even realise why people are so angry about this.
You said you were raring to go for the start of the new term in office. I get that sense from you, Chris. But, you know, 2018, 299 arrivals via small boats, Conservatives in office. 2022, 45,744. There was a crisis at the hands of the Conservatives too. And you know, you point out that at this point in the year, the levels are at the highest ever. It's probably unlikely that they'll reach levels seen under your party.
Well, as I say, this year is on track to be the worst ever. And, you know, from that peak in 2022, I think you just said, we got it down by a third the next year. We had a plan to remove every single person who crossed the English Channel illegally, ready to go July of last year, but Keir Starmer cancelled it. So we did treat it in government as a crisis. Our measures were working, but Keir Starmer very foolishly cancelled that plan with no replacement. He had some gimmicks like claiming we're going to smash the gangs. It hasn't worked. It's now the worst ever, and people are understandably very, very angry with Keir Starmer and the Labour Party. We're tabling practical solutions. We tabled a deportation bill in Parliament just a few weeks ago to fix this problem by making sure everybody who crosses the Channel is deported. That will act as a deterrent. People won't bother trying to cross if they know they're going to get deported. But Labour voted it down. So we are being, you know, and frankly, if they've got any sense, they will pick up that deportation bill that we tabled and they will